if you could start.
Awesome. Okay, so first of all, I'm really, really happy to be here and seeing so many young women that want to get in technology. This super inspiring for me. Like a small story before we begin, I have a engineering degree, and I went to college, and I was like the single woman in each course, and then I got like two other women friends that came and studied with me. So it's really nice to see that we're getting there and we're getting more women in tech and bringing down that gender gap. So I'm going to share my screens and let's get this started. If you have any questions during the talk, just please ask them. Don't wait until the end. I want to keep this thing up of talking with you and answering questions. So, well, first of all, hi. Again, I'm Eleonora Lester. I'm a software engineer, have a degree in systems engineering. And currently I work as a software engineer and a software architect. So what I do on a daily basis is solve problems and think the best way to solve problems and to build products as well. And today we're going to talk about how to break into technology. So the first thing you're probably going to ask you is, where do I start? Like, what is my beginning, and where should I start? So there are tons of roles in the tech industry. Like, there are so many actors in companies and startups and people developing products. There are so many people involved. So today I want to tell you folks what each actor do, or at least to give yourselves a big picture of each of those. So you can eventually ask yourself the big question, that is, what about IT interests yourself? So there are a bunch of roles, as I said. So some of them are more regarding coding and programming, that is front-end development, back-end development. Am I interested in both? Do I want to do front-end and back-end? What is front-end development and what is back-end development? I'm actually, maybe some of you are more interested in other stuff like network administration or systems administration that has a totally different perspective. I don't know, maybe some of you are interested more around data and how to build visualizations around data. So I'm going to tackle a few of these roles. Two of them are regarding coding and programming, and others have a different perspective. So as I said, multiple roles, different responsibilities, and the big question is, what do I want to do? What am I interested in? So let's start with front-end development. What is front-end development? As you see in this picture, basically front-end development is everything that the users see and the users interact with. And then there's back-end development, then we're going to talk about. But basically, front-end is a set of technologies that allow us to create user interfaces. And what we do with those interfaces is to see and interact with them. So we are constantly interacting with front-end. We are constantly using applications. So when you're sitting on your couch surfing Netflix to see what you want to see, that's basically front end. The images that are being displayed, the different programs that you can pick, the different series, everything, all that shown to you, and the ability to be able to interact with that, that is front end development. So even when you go to Spotify and you want to sign up or log in, that is front-end development. When you go to Stripe and you interact with their site, when you go to apple.com and buy the latest iPhone, that is all front-end technology driven. Even when you go to Walmart and you want to buy something. So everything that is user interaction and user what the users see, that is front-end development. So is that all of it? Well, basically, no, it's not. Front-end is an extensive topic. Front-end developers usually work around some other topics that are like responsive design. So what is responsive design? So when you open Netflix on your tablet, Netflix on your phone, Netflix on your TV, Netflix on your laptop, you see they have a different design and a different way to show you the information. So front-end developers are responsible of that information being shown in the correct way for each device. So it's really interesting because sometimes you have the same application in different devices. So there are different problems and things to tackle there. There are different challenges. So that's really exciting. Other things that front-end tackle are architecture, performance, testing, and how the code is being bundled. And what is code bundling? Well, when you access a website, it doesn't take too much time to load. Let's say, I don't know, you go to Amazon and immediately you're being shown with stuff there. So the way Amazon works and how that is being shown by to you is using code bundling. That is a way to like compress the information that is being given to you. So basically code bundling helps you to manage performance and for the users to have a fluid experience on your site. But front-end is not only about web. Front-end is about mobile devices. When you download an app and you use that application, everything that you see and you interact with, that is front-end front-end development as well. So it's not only driven to websites and web applications. Mobile development also have front-end developers. So the question is, how do I start if I'm interested in front-end development? Well, there are three fundamental pillars for this. The first one is HTML. Right now we're on the 5th version of HTML, and basically what HTML allows us is to be able to build skeletons of websites. So in terms of how do I start in front-end development for the web, I strongly recommend to study these three pillars. So HTML gives us the skeleton. The skeleton has no design. Skeleton is like when you code your navbar, your header, your footer, that is HTML. And HTML is a markup language. It's not super complex to learn, and it's really interesting. It has so much capabilities. Then it comes CSS. CSS is a mind-blowing technology. It's a rabbit hole of stuff that you are constantly learning because it gets, day by day, it gets improved. So CSS, what CSS does is it gives you design in your site. So if you want a rounded blue button in a specific place in your site, while the technology that is in charge of doing that is CSS. And finally, JavaScript or JS. Well, JavaScript is in charge of giving us the possibility to interact with our sites. So let's imagine for a second we are seeing Twitter or Twitter timeline. So as we know, everything that we see and interact with is front-end. And when we click on the button to create a new tweet, a model message, a pop-up window is being shown. So the instance of clicking that button and showing that pop-up window to create a new tweet, that is JavaScript. So again, everything to the interaction of our website is being done with JavaScript. And if you're starting to code, JavaScript is a super friendly language. JavaScript and Python as well are super friendly to use. So if you want to start in front-end development, I strongly recommend working out on these 3 pillars. So HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Right now, at the moment, us front-ends are using other technologies that are called frameworks or different libraries that allows us to do and to build things in a easier way. So there are a few libraries right now that are like more trending, I would say. The most important is React.js, and then there's AngularJS and Vue.js. So once you master the basics of JavaScript, plain JavaScript is called vanilla.js, like the ice cream. So once you manage that, it's interesting to understand the new libraries and what they do and how they work. So once you manage this, it's interesting to go a level deeper and get to know React or Angular or Vue.js. So backend development. What is backend development? So backend development is everything that happens behind the scenes. So again, with the Twitter timeline example, when I tweet something new and I push the button, that tweet is being sent to my backend, and my backend is in charge of replicating my tweet for all the other users that follow you. So all the users that follow myself are going to be able to see that tweet. That is because backend is responsible of the things that go behind the scenes. So as we see, and in a super simple terms, it's all the things that happen in the background and that are not visible for a user. Another nice example is when you log in to a site. So you complete the form and then you hit login, and you're automatically shown, let's say, Amazon. You see the products that you have on your cart, and then you're able to do stuff. So the action of being logged in is something that is being managed by the backend, because the logic of saying this user is actually the one that has this email is all being driven by the backend. So when you go to Amazon and you type down a specific product that you're looking for, you're immediately driven to see multiple products. So what is happening here behind the scene is that the backend is filtering out the products that you want to see. So this is the clear difference between front-end and back-end, because front-end is in charge of visuals and interactions, but back-end is in charge of what is more of the business logic and the constraints. If we go to the Rick and Morty API that I'm super fan of, and we click on any of those characters, basically what we see is this response that is super weird. So what is this? Well, this is the information that backend give frontend to be shown. So if I click on Rick, it automatically gives me this information, and frontends are in charge of rendering or showing the user a specific design with this information. So again, the backend is in charge of retrieving this information and giving it to the front end. So responsibilities of backends. Well, it's not only about coding. It's not only about filtering stuff. It's about performance. It's about security. It's about defining the best architecture to develop a product or do something. All the business logic and all the business constraints are being managed by the backend. And of course, as I said, everything related to database access is being managed by the backend. Let's say create a new user. Let's say you want to edit your profile information. Well, all of these actions on data, deleting your account, or I don't know, filtering products from Amazon, all these actions are being driven by the backend. There are so many backend languages, a ton of them. Why? Because, well, complex problems need multiple solutions. Each language that we see here have a specific purpose or a specific set of features that make them unique. So one thing that I want to point out here is that if you code in JavaScript, you're able to do not only front-end development, you're able to work as a back-end developer as well, because there's a technology called Node.js that is driven with JavaScript, and it's being used to create to code servers and deploy backend technology specifically. So you have plenty options. If you're not 100% sure for where to start, I strongly recommend, again, you can use JavaScript, you can use Python to code servers and to be able to connect front ends with backends. So we talked about two specific roles that are mostly about coding, but there is one role that is amazing, it's super interesting, that is not specifically related to coding, but it's more around how users interact with our site and or our products, and giving them the best experience. Because if you go to a website and you don't know how to use it, you don't understand how to interact with it, it's probably that you're not going to come back. So there are two roles that are in charge mostly of user interactions. So one is UX, and the other one is UI. So I like to say that UX is the person that has knowledge around how users are going to use stuff, and the UI is most around the visual taste and the aesthetics. So if you imagine a product as a human body, the bones represent the code which gives the structure, and the organs could represent the UX design, like measuring and optimizing against inputs for supporting life functions. And the UI is the design representation of that body. So what is UX and UI? Well, UX is user experience, and UI is user interface. UX is more centered around the users, as it says, because it's the user experience that we are giving. So it's going to analyze if our site is accessible, because not all, like none of us are the same. Some people have visual problems, and other people can't distinguish between colors. So basically what UX is going to define is if my product is being able to be used for all the users. They're going to define if my product is easy to understand and is easy to use, and the best way to do that. And then there's UI, that it's tightly coupled with front-end development. So UI is more in charge of the color schemes and typographies that we're using, layouts, images, forms, everything that is more around the design and aesthetics. So the responsibility of this role is mostly human-centered. We want to see users using our products and trying to understand if they feel comfortable using them, and if they're going to be coming back to our website or coming back to use our product. So they mostly do research, interaction, and they check that the experience of using our products is smooth. And the tooling is interesting because, as you say, it's not 100% around coding. So you're going to be using Sketch, Photoshop, and probably some HTML and CSS. And then this is the final role I want to talk about, because we talked about specific coding. Then we talked about more human-centered. But what happens when we want to deploy our application? So what deploy means is when the user is able to use my application, when we deliver that application to each user. So that is the developer operations role. So what is DevOps? What do they do? And let's see if you are interested in this. So DevOps are mostly in charge of the delivery pipeline. So what is the delivery pipeline? Well, once we have our product, like all our code, what we do is we build it and test it, because none of us code amazing things without breaking stuff. So DevOps are in charge of testing our application and then releasing it to the users. And then what they return to us are monitoring tools, so we are able to understand if our application is crashing or how many users are using our website or our product. So basically, DevOps is more of a combination of cultural philosophies, I could say, and practices and tools, that what they do is increase the organization's ability to deliver applications and services at a much higher velocity. Because what we want to do is be able to iterate and get our products and websites better and with more features, but at a fast pace. We want to do things quick and put the new features in hands of our users in a way that is fast and without breaking stuff. So DevOps are going to be in charge of the infrastructure that is behind our products. So let's say Amazon, the data centers for Amazon are being managed by specific role that is DevOps. So specific responsibilities of DevOps are speed and scale. And in terms of scale, what I mean is, let's imagine that you are the creators of TikTok. You coded TikTok. So on the first launch, you have 10 users. From one day to another, 100 users. And from 1 week to another, you have 1 million users. That is insane, because you have to be able to respond to those million users interacting with your application. So that's the meaning of scale. Scale is basically operate and manage the infrastructure and the development process at scale for millions of users, and be able to automate and give consistent help in terms of changes in the system and efficiency. So the other thing is speed and reliability. So speed is because we want to move at a high velocity. We want to be able to innovate and get our features fast to the hands of our users. We want to get that out there to being used. So speed is one of the things that the DevOps manage, because that pipeline needs to work at a fast pace. And then there's reliability and, of course, rapid delivery that goes with speed. So to be reliable is that I know that my website is going to be up 24/7. I know that if I access Amazon a week before Christmas, it's going to be alive and it's going to be there, and I'm going to be able to interact and use it. So being reliable is to ensure the quality of the applications on terms of updates and the infrastructure changes that we do. So which tools DevOps use? So the whole DevOps circle is something that we normally see as an infinite loop, because it's something that it never ends. We are constantly developing new features and trying to get them as fast as we can to the hands of our users. So it's something that the DevOps tasks never end. So first, we plan, we develop, we build, and then we test. Finally, we deploy, operate, and monitor. So there are a bunch of different technologies and tools that we use. If you're interested in the DevOps environment and you want to get there and play around with the code, with the cloud, and like get your hands on deploying products, I believe that the most important tools right now to learn are, of course, GitHub, and then Jenkins and Kubernetes with Docker. Those are amazing tools. They're being used a lot today. So where should I start? How should you start? Well, basically, my recommendation is ask yourself the big question, that is, what is the thing that you're interested in? Is it coding? Is it deploying applications and working as a DevOps? Are you more interested on managing data? Are you more interested in machine learning and, I don't know, data science? So ask yourself that big question. So once you sort of know what you're interested in, what you can start doing is basically find a mentor. You can find me on Twitter. You can send me emails if you want. But find someone that can help you out on your career development, and start doing tutorials and start doing things, start building things, but from zero to deploying those stuff. So if you're interested in coding, well, build a website, but once you build it, don't leave it in your machine. Throw it outside so users can see it, and anyone is able to see it and maybe reach out to you and ask you stuff like, how did you did this? Or hey, can you help me out doing this? That it's, I saw that you did it on your website. So start building a network. Start being part of communities. Communities are amazing, an amazing part of even landing your first job. Um, Open your networks, talk with people, blog about your project, show the stuff that you've learned. If you learned, I don't know, a new algorithm in JavaScript, or you're learning Python or whatever it is, show it. Show people what you're doing. That's the most important thing. Um, and of course, if you have any questions or you want help on a project, or you're not sure where to start, I'm totally open to help you out. These are you can find me here. You can find me on Twitter. I mostly tweet in Spanish, but you can find me there. And of course, you can send me an email. If you have any questions, you can talk now.
I have a question. So I'm interested in cybersecurity, and I'm currently trying to like put myself through like the different CompTIA certifications, like A plus, and then like Network Plus and security and all of that. But I was wondering, like, is that a good way to start in that? Because I want to go into like pen testing and like ethical hacking. So is that like a
Yeah.
good starting place? Okay, cool.
Yes, totally. You can start from there. There are a bunch of forums. If you shoot me an email, that I'll point you out. There are a bunch of forums that show you like how to pen test and show you like how to bash script things. So those are super super useful. And of course, like certifications and doing stuff are super useful. There's one thing I would say is once you do a course or a certification, don't sit on top of that. Start doing things with the things that you learned. So if you started to learn pen testing, try to apply that. I don't know, try to pen test a friend's website or something like that. So try to take the theory and the stuff that you get, try to apply it and show it, and probably there's other people that want to hear from your experience and how you started. So the other thing, of course, is try to show and talk and share the knowledge that you learned.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Hi, I have like two questions actually, but they like relate to each other. So among like what you gave us, what's your favorite one, or like what did you pick, or what interested you, and what projects are you doing now?
Sure. Yeah. So from my experience, I started as a front-end developer, and then I started to switch, and I was able to start working as a full stack developer, that is backend and front-end. Because to be honest, I got bored of working as a front-end developer only, and I wanted to like get more like start coding more hardcore stuff. So I switched from front-end to a full stack development position. That's basically doing the both things at a time. And right now, what I'm doing is I'm working 100% as a backend developer. I'm also a software architect, and I'm working for a video game company. And what I'm doing is I'm in charge of distributing the games for all the users. So users are able to download them, and what we do is we get data to analyze and understand if the user is going to spend money or not on our game. And this is amazing because it's before you even download the game. Like before you even download that specific game, I'm in charge of knowing if you are going to spend money or not on the game. So it's an amazing and huge challenge. Super fun to do. Super fun to work with. I'm currently using tons of JavaScript, Golang. Golang is an amazing language to learn and to use. And what else? Databases, different databases that are being evolved. So my favorite part, and answering your question, I think backend development is my favorite thing because it has more to do with the things that I've studied, that is engineering. So I like the hardcore problems and that type of thing, like the complex solutions. That is something that I don't know, motivates me to work.
Can I ask 2 questions?
Sure, go.
So it's front end and back end.
Yes.
What, can I make a full-on website or a full-on app just using front end or just using back end?
Amazing question. Yes, interesting. You're able to code things in front end without touching back end. You do not. You don't necessarily have to have a database and access and yourself coding the backend. There are many services that are currently doing that for you. There's an interesting platform that's called Firebase. Firebase allows you to do like super quick integrations between your front end, and if you need, I don't know, to do a logging or stuff like that, it's really easy to pick up. So if you want to center yourself on the front end development of your application, you can totally do that. And I recommend checking out Firebase, and there are a bunch of others. There's a company called Auth0 that is in charge of everything regarding security. So if you want a user to logging or something like that, you can manage it with that. And there's a big community called the No Code. So the No Code community is, there are a bunch of developers building tools for people that don't necessarily know how to code. So if you want, let's say that you have a blog and you want people to subscribe to your newsletter, you don't have to code that. In the no code community, there are like tools and stuff that you can use to automatically like plug and play that component in your website, and it's done. It's amazing. So again, no code, the no code community, Auth0 and Firebase, those are amazing tools.
Okay. So if we use front end and back end together, are there additional opportunities or like more we could do?
Well, that's an interesting question. Yes, because it's more job. Like you're trying to do both things at a time. And yes, you're going to be able to reach out for more opportunities, like job opportunities or internship opportunities. But I recommend starting with one thing at a time. So go out there, build a website. Once you build a website, let's try to create a backend for that website. And okay, I'm building this backend. I want to connect with a database. Okay, cool. So, but take like those baby steps to really try to understand everything, because if you try to learn everything from zero, like all together, it's going to be harder, probably. At least for me, it was like that. I had to take like baby steps and understand things in parts. But answering your question, of course, if you're able to learn both things, you'll probably have more opportunities. But I believe that you should search for the thing that you like. If you like more backend or you like more front end, go deep on that. Or if you like both, well, go ahead.
Okay, and one final quick question. So
Sure.
for front end, so for a beginner, complete beginner, do you recommend just doing front end and starting with HTML to be the easiest?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
There's a site called Free Code Camp. That site is amazing when you're starting, and they have this huge community that support you. If you have questions, you can go and reach out. So go for that. If you want to start with front-end development, I strongly recommend HTML first, CSS second, and third, go ahead and deep dive into JavaScript, but don't dive to React and Angular and Vue without having a good base of JavaScript.
Okay.
And if you have questions or you need help.
I got a question. Do you have advice for beginners programmers?
Yes, I have advice. I've been in that position of not knowing how to code. So coming from my experience, the first thing is, one, don't get frustrated. It's going to be hard, but it's super fun. Like, code is magic. You can do whatever you want. And the second one is baby steps. Try one thing at a time and try to manage that. JavaScript is an amazing language when you're starting. Python is an amazing language when you're starting. Right now, SpaceX is using JavaScript. Like, literally, JavaScript is in the space right now. So answering your question, baby steps, one thing at a time. Don't get frustrated, and talk to people, ask questions. You're not alone. There's a ton of people learning to code. You can contact myself and all others. There are tons of communities that are for people that are starting to code, especially Free Code Camp. Talk to people, ask questions. No question is dumb. Ask everything and baby steps.
I have a question. Can I ask something?
Yeah, sure. Go.
Okay, so I am a 12-year-old, so of course, like, I'm still not like thinking a lot about what I'm going to do, like, in a very a faraway future. But I want to know, like, if you know any initiative or any experience I could do, like, related to UX and UI.
Yes. What you can do with UI, the first thing, UI is tightly coupled with front end, right? Because front end is all the visuals and interactions, and UI is more around colors and design and aesthetics. So if you want to start to get a more knowledge around UX and UI, what I recommend is, first of all, get to know CSS, understand how it works, understand how HTML works as well. There's a tons of stuff in Free Code Camp. And regarding UX, there are a bunch of mediums and dev.to. This is dev.to. There's tons of information there. What I recommend is build a small website and understand if the website has a good user experience. Like, throw the website to your mom and see if your mom can use it. So that's a good experience. If your mom can use it, that's great.
Okay, I'll start to do that. Thank you very much.
Do you have an advice for learning more than one skill at a time? Okay. Yes. If you want to pick up more than one skill at a time, what you have to do is try to combine them. I think it's the best way to learn fast two new skills is if you're able to combine them. So let's say you want to learn JavaScript and you already know HTML and you want to learn some stuff from CSS, okay, find a way to combine those two things. The best way to learn many stuff at the same time is first baby steps on the things that you want to learn and try to connect them. Hello, if you just
Hi, I have a question.
go.
I have actually like two questions. So,
Okay.
the first one, you said that you started out like with front end. So, like, what did you major in college?
I'm actually a systems engineering. I'm an engineer of software. Like when I finished the university, I had like so many tools in my tool belt. I knew about databases, I knew algorithms, I knew deploying techniques, I knew about backend performance, I knew a lot of stuff. But I was interested on front end. And why? Because I was interested on creating products for users. And I was interested mostly in tackling performance problems. I finished college. I'm a systems engineer. When I finished, I knew algorithms, databases, backend. I knew a lot of stuff, but I was really interested on front end. Why? Because I was interested on creating products for users from a visual perspective. I wanted to see how users interact with my site, my product. I was super interested on front end performance. Like when I open a website, I want to be able to see it in less than a second. So that's a performance issue that I was tackling. What else? So front end has many challenges, and I was intrigued. So I started from there. Then I was able to move around because I eventually got bored. So I moved more for a backend position. And I'm happy working as a backend architect right now.
Okay, cool. So you studied engineering in college and then, okay, cool. And my other question is, okay, so if you wanted to get like into UI, like what would you study in college? Would you study like design or?
Yes, if you want to go fully to UI, like UI perspective in terms of colors, typography, things like that, it's super important to study something related to design. It's not something required if you work as a front-end developer. Like I'm not a designer and I worked as a front-end developer, but if you know about color combinations, if you understand how typography works, if you know that information, that's super useful as well if you want to work as a front-end developer, but it's not required. So again, if you want to work more in terms of UI, yes, I recommend start learning design.
Can I ask a question about machine learning and data science?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
I was wondering whether you use that in one of your projects and whether you get to use a lot of mathematical skills in that area in a daily basis.
Interesting. Yes, I did some stuff with machine learning. I'm not a machine learning expert. I have a good friend that does amazing things. You can find her in Twitter. She is DevCharlie. Twitter. Oh, I can't. Well, wait 1 second. So yes, I did some stuff with machine learning. Since I know mostly JavaScript and Python, I started working with TensorFlow. TensorFlow is a library that works with JavaScript and it's not too complex to use. So if you're interested to start on machine learning, go ahead, TensorFlow, and it's based on JavaScript. If you're using Python, there's a ton of options to use with Python. Mostly I've been using it to analyze data. So it's more around using pandas. Pandas is a useful tool to analyze and clean data. but mostly those two. I'm not an expert. You don't have to be an expert on math. It's interesting and it's useful, of course. But you don't have to be like a pro mathematical genius to start doing machine learning stuff. Awesome. Thank you so much. I hope you learned something from me. And if you have any questions or whatever it is that you need help, go ahead, ping me on Twitter, send me an email. I'll be here to support you and help you out.